The question, why seek enlightenment, to my ear sounds somewhat like the question, why awaken from the dream state? After all, it's a completely satisfying um, reality within its own context, and you could very merrily exist there for a long time, if that were physiologically possible. But anyone who has awakened from the dream state realizes that the waking state offers, in many ways, more possibilities, more reality than the dream state. And while the dream state is wonderful and necessary and sometimes very enriching, it doesn't represent the totality of the possibilities of human experience. Well, from the enlightened point of view, the waking state is much the same, although it offers many very useful possibilities for experience. It does not represent the totality of human potential. Now, anyone who's ever taken a psychedelic drug under the right circumstances, with the right intention, may have experienced something akin to the insights gained in enlightenment. In my own experience, the psychedelic state, though amazing and certainly worthwhile for those who are interested in exploring that dimension of consciousness, is quite distinct from the enlightenment experience, even though the words describe both would sound similar, which points to the fact that what is experienced in enlightenment transcends language. It transcends rational thought. It's not irrational, but it's transrational, by which I mean the structures and symbols of thought and language are inadequate to encompass the totality of the experience. Now, a Buddhist teacher whom I respect a lot, Shinzen Young, has a short video which he calls something like Enlightenment, Overrated and Underrated. And I've often quoted it because I think his analogy is quite accurate. That is that enlightenment is underrated in the sense that if a person were given, who's had enlightenment, who's had the enlightenment experience, were given the choice of one day with that experience or a whole lifetime without it, you would invariably choose that one day. That's how profound it is, how it orients you as an individual within a larger context that was simply not known before and could not be known without the experience. And that, in one sense, changes everything. It makes everything make sense and hold together in a way that it couldn't otherwise. At the same time, it's overrated in the sense that it doesn't solve everything. Enlightened persons still grow old, get sick, and die. There are the kinds of frustrations and problems that come up in everyday life for enlightened persons. If you read the lives of saints of any tradition and read through the lines, so to speak, of their lives, you find that there's quite a lot of pain and human suffering, some of it taken on willingly for the sake of others. So enlightenment doesn't spare you, in some sense, from pain, which is what goes with being embodied, but it provides a release from suffering, the kind of suffering that can happen when you don't see beyond it, when you don't see any reality or any state of being beyond this psychophysical state or ego state that we consider our normal state of consciousness. So then it's still, the question is, why seek enlightenment? Well, at one level, why not? If you're adventurous, why not go for the top of the mountain if you can? But in a serious tone, people seek it who feel prompted from within to do so, and they do so because their inner nature is urging them to go beyond the limitations of the ego, body, mind state, that it's not adequate, it's not the totality of who they are, and that locked up, as it were, universal self is just pushing and urging them to discover it. But not everybody has that urge, or rather that urge for other people more typically gets directed toward outward things, towards accomplishments, towards possessions, towards persons. Now, there's nothing wrong, essentially wrong, with seeking those things, except that none of them last. They all will break your heart sooner or later. They will all disappoint you sooner or later. And again, it's not to say that they're not useful. That breaking of your heart is a step toward the awakening of a need for something that does last, something that is permanent, is transcendent, if you will. So, if you're feeling that urge, then go for it. Yogis of old have said that the urge for enlightenment is always rare. And even those who may seek, many will not arrive at that place within one lifetime. If you have the advantages of a birth that enables you some time and leisure for spiritual practice, and you have contact with an enlightened spiritual teacher, and you have the desire for illumination, then those three things are like jewels that, and if you don't take advantage of them, you really are wasting your life. So those who have had their enlightenment experience say that it's well worth the time and trouble and effort. And that time, trouble, and effort, compared to, say, the time and trouble and effort it takes to learn to, as Ramakrishna once said, when he visited a circle, he saw a woman standing on the back of a galloping horse that was running around in a circle, and he marveled how much time and effort it must have taken to learn that. And he said, realizing God, or seeking enlightenment, is much easier than learning to ride standing on the back of a galloping horse. So it is something that's possible for humans. It's something that other humans have achieved in every generation. So you have faith in yourself and know that you too can achieve it if you take the right means and if you apply those means sincerely and with deep effort. By the grace of the Self or of God, Goddess, you too will know the bliss and the freedom